March 12th, 2020. For TheaterWorks, the world stopped that day.
We got thrust into making some really hard decisions really fast.
We had just had auditions for our big youth musical for the year.
We were in the middle of a really great time at TheaterWorks.
If you don't know the story of TheaterWorks in a nutshell, all of these people really thought that the West Valley needed a theater. They mortgaged their homes and set up shop in a barn, and almost 40 years later, we are here.
We had plans for summer camp that I was super excited to work on. The whole season we had planned for this coming year was going to be fantastic. We were supposed to have Newsies as our summer show and Mary Poppins as our season opener.
TheaterWorks had 5 shows in rehearsal. I was directing 3 of them.
And then COVID hit.
Moments ago, I signed an executive order directing Arizonans to stay home, stay healthy, and stay connected. Effective tomorrow at close of business, Arizonans are directed to limit their time away from home, except to conduct or participate in essential activities or essential services.
The thought of having zero revenue for an unknown amount of time. What we do, we need to sell tickets. We need to have classes, We need to host events. And none of those things were options.
My entire career was in the performing arts. Everything I knew was in this space. And feelings of inadequacy and I can't let this organization die on my watch. That would be the worst thing, and I would never forgive myself for it.
Every week that went by seemed like one more week closer to the grave financially. Every expense seemed like a hemorrhage. There was a consideration that this could shut down TheaterWorks for good.
I think the worst part was, this is maybe a very strong word, but the carnage that had to happen to save the organization was difficult.
From 19 employees to 2.5.
When we got the phone call, we all went into the theater and Chris was like, all right guys, pack up your stuff, you're going home and we don't know when we're gonna see each other again.
To not know a real answer, hey guys, this is only for 2 weeks, none of us knew anything,
It really hit me hard. I had a lot of anxiety about what the future looked like. I had a lot of anxiety about what my career looked like.
I never felt anything like that. To be in that position, to have to make that decision, that was my low point. That was the most guilt I've ever felt in my life.
It was March. It was everybody go home. We tried to keep it going for a while. I remember we were still doing Zoom rehearsals for Shrek. And then finally, we just couldn't keep it up.
We had an all-company meeting with the cast over Zoom. And I remember Chris and I sitting on our couch together at our house, and we had the webcam on us, and literally we had 25 young artists up on the TV. I had hooked the laptop up to the TV and I could see them all there. And the meeting was to tell them that we were canceling this show.
Any artist of a performing arts nature couldn't do anything. They can't be who they are, I swear I applied for no less than 50 emergency grants or funding or anything I can get my hands on.
There was just a big black hole. There was just an empty space in my life. Theater was so important to me. Theater was so important to Chris and I as a family. It was so important to our lives together, to our home.
In high school, I found the theater, and that's where I was like, oh, this is my tribe. These are my folks. I fit in here. Having theater available to me, I didn't know how important it was until much, much later.
I actually got my first job at a theater while I was still in college in development and fundraising. And I fell in love with it because I got to be in this really cool, creative environment, and I got to do really cool and creative things.
I tell people that my day job is my bill-paying job. And coming to TheaterWorks, whether that be as a teaching artist or a choreographer or an actor, TheaterWorks is my soul-paying job.
I still came to work every single day to an empty building. That, Chris, why don't you stay home and work from home? I couldn't. This is my place. This is where I thrive. This is where I do my job. And I still woke up and drove here every single day to a quiet building, a building that is never quiet, that is bustling with life, and hundreds of people through here daily, thousands of people through here weekly. And I was here by myself.
I remember like the day he came home from work and he's like, I've got an idea. I've got this idea.
We were throwing around all kinds of ideas at home. Paul is always my sounding board, and I'm throwing all kinds of things at him all the time. And then the city said, no gatherings of 10 or more. That actually was like the best thing for me to hear, because it was the moment that I went, what have I done as a theatrical person in small groups? And it was immersive theater. I had just gotten a script for Treasure Island, and so I was like, oh, maybe we could do something with pirates. And I quickly found out I don't know shit about pirates.
And I felt like I was being the jerk. I was bursting his bubble because he was so proud of his Treasure Island idea. And I was like, Treasure Island's not gonna work, boop. And it was like, what? What do you mean it's not gonna work?
So we came around to Alice in Wonderland because pirates were out, but it was clear that Alice in Wonderland is a quest story.
Not only is Alice in Wonderland a journey, but it also doesn't have to make sense. If there's some parts that kind of are a little wonky, it's okay. Because that's what Wonderland is. It's a little wonky. It's a little upside down. It's a little confusing.
After Paul, the first stop was Kate. Kate, I have a crazy idea.
I was totally on board. I thought it's worth the risk. And when Chris and I agree on something and we're both behind it 100% and passionate about all of it, that's what counts. We unleashed the Kraken, so to speak, and, brought everybody in.
Getting Heather on board was not hard.
I would be lying if I said it wasn't terrifying. I went from putting scenery up in 1-2 spaces at a time to this proposal that we put scenery in every room of a building, but also let's do stained glass in all the lobby windows. And I was like, oh, okay.
what is the timeline for that? What is the budget for that? How are we, staffed?
I think she was all of a sudden calculating like, oh my God, how many hours is this gonna take to do? Because it was just the three of us at that point. And then as we started building this world, we were able to bring employees back.
I freaked out. I was so excited.
It created this excited but scared feeling of we don't know what's going to happen, but we're on a train that's moving, and so we're going either way.
It was so unlike anything that I'd ever done. The scale was huge.
It was a pretty steep learning curve. I am not a designer first. I'm a technical director first, and so I had to let go of a lot of those inhibitions. A technical director is responsible for bringing a scenic designer's vision to life within the parameters of a budget for both finances and labor hours. I sort of just volunteered to do the scenic design thing because everybody had been furloughed except for me. And if it was going to be successful, I was going to have to do more. Usually what would happen is I'd have to go in first, and I'd have to put all the bones of the thing in, and then she would come in and make it pretty.
I would come in right afterwards and then flesh it out and tie the bow on top of it.
She was on the back end of the rabbit hole and I'm on the front end, and eventually I leave her and she continues to hone this thing.
When you have people actually walking through and they're right there, that was a little daunting, because what that meant is that we went really big and we went really detailed at the same time. We were on a time crunch for every room. It was like, we can only spend a few more weeks in here and then we gotta move on, because if we want this to be the opening date, then we just got to get this place to 80-90% of what we envisioned it to be and move on, because there's just so much stuff to film.
When the stained glass went up, people could see it when they were driving down Peoria Avenue. It was really magical. My motivation behind diversifying our Alice's on the stained glass had really been inspired by the idea that the audience was Alice. Everything had been quiet for so long, and then people started to talk.
It was very secretive. We were not talking about what we were doing to anybody. And it wasn't that we were lying, it was genuinely, we didn't know what we were doing. All of it was organic, 100% of it.
Characters like the caterpillar, her costume was made 100% from scratch. So we came up with an idea of what we wanted. I went and found the materials that I wanted to use, and then we built that off of a design that I had created and that we kind of collaborated on together to make.
We started building the world, and once that world was created, we brought actors into the process to then devise the actual script of what happens in this room. I don't know, let's talk about it.
The sun was shining on the sea.
The script being the last thing that kind of gets developed from concept backwards. Just the whole process was so original and different and immersive even for us.
I personally have never been a part of a devising cast.
We got to sit in a room and basically put the script together.
Being given the freedom to play as an actor for the Queen of Hearts gave me a lot of confidence, to be honest, because I was given the ability to do more improv, the ability to write in different lines and kind of play more.
He's like, we're building this beautiful story in this landscape. Make it your own.
The energy in the building was awesome. I mean, it was like we should have had signs up like high voltage artists at work. It challenged all of us to look at what we do in a different way, no matter what that is. Like me as a choreographer, it challenged me to choreograph a dance piece for 2 people in a room with a giant table surrounded by audience members who I wasn't allowed to be within X number of feet of, and I couldn't even be within 6 feet of my dance partner. Like, it put so many new challenges in front of me as a choreographer, and it put challenges in front of me as an actor.
We got to build a world together. This entire team of amazing people built this world and then invited an audience to come share it with us.
Typical theater is in one space and has the proscenium arch, and the stage manager is able to watch the show and call the cues off of different factors. And for this show, we have 13 rooms, 2 stage managers, and we are calling most of our cues off of cameras. So it's definitely a different version of life, and it's a different version of the job that I am both blessed and stressed about in the best way. So it's a new journey.
Every show I direct, there's a point in it that I think, is this a turd? Did I miss the boat? Is this the worst show ever? Do I not know what I'm doing?
It has been hard and tough and stressful. To see how the community responds to it will be very interesting.
There was a point that I'm walking through this thing and going, I have no money to do this. Can I pull this off?
Who are you?
We have a champion's card at play.
Why is a raven like a writing desk, Alice? Alice, come quickly! You're late!
Oh, Alice, you're finally here.
Tonight is opening night of Curiouser and Curiouser.
Wow, we did it. We are here. It's open. People are experiencing it. People are going to talk about it, and theater is alive again.
The reaction's been very positive. I think people are very surprised. Nobody's seen what's been going on in this building for 5 months. It's kind of like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. The windows have been closed off. This is something that didn't exist 6 months ago, and it came from tragedy. I think that is one of the most beautiful things in the world, when tragedy can bring about art.
We call the show Curiouser and Curiouser, and I think curiosity is one of the things that makes us human. I think it's one of the things that drives me as an artist. I hope people embrace their curiosity to come and see it, but also then to challenge their thinking of maybe what art is, what theater is. This is intimate, this is special, and this is just for that little group of people at a time.
hopefully this is a happy memory for them about this year. Like when they think back to what was the first time we went to the theater after the shutdown, they're gonna remember this show, and they're gonna remember how this show kind of helped them escape the nightly news and the newspaper headlines and the masks and the social distancing.
The billion-dollar industry and more than 3 million people are out of work. Come along! Every little bit that we can claw back from this abyss feels like such a victory, even if it's only 10 audience members at a time.
It just started selling so fast, and word of mouth.
We have 12 sold out performances, was like, wow, that's amazing. And then all of a sudden it became, 100 sold out performances was like, wow.
It was the best moment, really, to say, hey guys, we've sold out. Can we do more?
I was just like, oh my gosh, it worked.
It was a savior to us as an organization, but also emotionally.
Being able to be something that was good in someone's life, even if it was just for 2 hours while they were walking through Wonderland, I think we all needed that.
To be able to have a connection with somebody and other people, other artists, in the middle of something that was very isolating is, I don't even know that I can put it into words. It's insane. It's great.
It was a challenge. It was a beast of a production. It was a beautiful show to be a part of and to get to be a part of that foundation of building it.
I can say with confidence that it has stretched my artistic muscles. It wasn't theater in a lot of ways for me. It was an art installation, and that was also something that I had no experience with. And so now I look back and I'm like, I can do that.
I did that. I really did that. That was a lot. Yeah, I can do a lot more than I give myself credit for.
The first night Chris told me he was gonna do this, I was happy, I was excited, but in the back of my head there was a voice like, this is impossible. Especially in that climate at that moment, because it didn't seem like anything was possible. It wasn't even possible to go to the grocery store and buy toilet paper. And I was like, and you're gonna build Wonderland? I can't get toilet paper. And so I think now I know, and it's weird that I didn't learn this until I was in my 40s, but like literally anything's possible.
For all of the artists out there, my advice is to just never stop dreaming. That is your gift.
As we resume our programming, we return stronger than ever.
Welcome to Opening Night! Our last show in this theater closed 824 days ago. And so, how wonderful it is to be back.
Your dreams are what make you special.
Now we are gonna get out of the way and let you see what you know TheaterWorks to be, some damn good theater. So thank you for being here tonight. Enjoy the show.